New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents What's Up and Why? Thursdays at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Eastern.
Welcome to What's Up and Why? My name is Reverend Casey Taylor.
I'm Be Lovely. We're bringing you the bright side of life, one fun moment at a time, right here on What's Up and Why. So, Rev KC, how you be?
I be good. I love that we have this intro. This is our very first episode of What's Up and Why. We've been like pulling people at the last minute. Reverend Michael Mangus gave us this episode title of our Maiden Voyage. Clarissa Jerem Jensen stepped in to produce and support us at the very last minute, like learning all the tech and gadgets behind the scenes. So yeah. I'm really grateful that everything has come together for this moment. How you?
Yeah. Shout out to both of them. Thank you so much. Oh, and producer Addison is here. Hi, Addison. We love you. Sending you positive energy. Today is not only just, our debut, it is the first day of spring. And I was just thinking about how ironic is that, as we're entering a new season of, bringing life back into the world and all that stuff, this beautiful show that wants to put positivity into the world is coming out.
I love that Addison is hyping us up with these. Y'all looking gorgeous. She wasn't able to be here, but commenting from the sidelines where she is. I am with it.
Thank you.
Amazing and gorgeous. I am with it.
Yeah, I'm just feeling really, really good today. I was watching this video, this interview actually that Felicia Rashad recently just did on the Breakfast Club. And wait, do you have a delay on me? Or am I
do have a delay on you, but we just gonna have to keep rolling. We're gonna figure it out.
Technology
do what it do.
I'm just gonna, keep powering through. But she was talking about her new Broadway play that she is directing called Purpose. And Purpose is centering around a Black powerful family in Chicago. Ironic. They come together for a celebration, but then family stuff happens. And it was just, she was talking about how the story is basically just talking about the human experience. While, we experience love with each other, with the people that we love, there's also going to be tension. But when you have love at the center of it, you can get through that tension to come together closer. And it kind of reminded me of our family because, we're from Chicago. We go to Chicago every year to celebrate just being family. And, sometimes there's problems, but for the most part, it's all about love and positivity.
I love that you say that, especially like growing up. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about the Cosby Show, but me and the character of Rudy were literally the same age when the Cosby Show premiered.
Oh, wow.
So to just to see myself represented as a child, and the fact my mother is not a lawyer and my father is not a doctor, but we lived a very a middle class life that. There hadn't been a lot of shows like that on television, my 5 years of life at that point. And, and my mom always reminded me of Claire Huxtable. And so, for you to kind of make that connection, and another like fun, like media connection is the movie Soul Food, that when that came out in 1999, you were just a baby and Be Lovely at the time. Were you even born? I don't even know.
I was alive. I was there. I was watching while my father was watching the movie. I have a little, anecdote to add to that, but I'm going to let you finish that.
Well, I was just going to say, when that movie came out, it was another one of those movies about a close-knit family in Chicago, and we all watched it together. You were like, that's why I didn't remember if you were alive, and you were living on the East Coast at the time. But having that, we've always had these kind of like touch points, these stories that remind us of who we are. And I love that we've been an inspiration for families around the country. People knowing that we travel around the country together. We were just in Key West a couple of weeks ago. We've got a family trip coming up in Charlotte, North Carolina in June. So we cruise, really just see each other and love each other and support one another through our challenges. But yeah, what's your soul food story? I want to hear it.
So, like I said, I was alive. I was here. I was thought of when Soul Food came out. My mother, my father, and I, we were watching it. And at the end of the movie, because, you know, Mama by Boyz II Men starts playing, I look over and my dad is crying. Mind you, you remember how my dad was. He did not show his emotions a lot. So that was my first time ever seeing him cry. And when he was talking to my mom about it, he said that the movie reminded him of the family in Chicago, and you know, Big Mama was grandmama, and it's just like Felicia Rashad was saying in her interview, media like movies, the theater, it's supposed to, you know, resemble the human experience. And for me, there's certain movies where I can watch where I feel like, okay, this is definitely mirroring my life. Insecure, a couple of seasons on Insecure. I have a deep connection with that. But I really love when a show really helps you to reflect and you can see yourself in those characters. Have you were just talking about how you saw yourself as Rudy. As an adult, have you seen yourself in any other characters?
That's a really good question. Kind of not really, but what has been interesting for me about my life with my identity, being queer, gender nonconforming, mixed race. There have been moments, I can't think of a character off the top of my head right now. There's definitely some. The first one actually that just popped in my head was there was a mixed race lesbian mom in the show The Fosters, and when I was working in Hollywood, like it was my goal to connect with the people on that show. And I got to work on a season of it. And it was fully a dream come true of getting an opportunity to meet the actress that played her. You mentioned Insecure. Issa Rae plays Issa in Insecure. She developed the whole concept. It was a web series before it was an HBO show.
Yeah.
And because of your love for Insecure, I was always on top of it, and ran into Issa like just at different things. And she's always been such a wonderful person to connect with. I saw her at a Beyonce concert. She was a couple rows in front of me at a Beyonce concert in LA. And I talked to her about, I worked for Viola Davis's production company at that time. And so we were talking about ways that we can connect and collaborate. So it's just been once I started working in entertainment, it became less about seeing myself on screen and more about meeting other people like me in real life. Because that's a whole nother thing. And when I moved to Oklahoma City, this was the first place that I'd ever been where I'm surrounded by mixed race queer people assigned female at birth for the first time in my life. So I feel like I've got like a real life community that I'm absolutely working for me.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that that's working for you. So while we were just talking about, people that we see on the screen, let's take some time to shine a light on the people that, don't usually get a lot of screen time. Who are you giving reverence to, some unsung heroes today?
Thank you for saying that. We have identified the way that this show works. Let me just say that the purpose of this show is to bring you the brighter side of life, one fun moment at a time. And we've got 2 segments that'll be ongoing with every episode. And one is called It's Giving Reverence. And in this segment, I will identify a character, a figure, not a character, a real life person, to give reverence to celebrate. And as I was talking to Ms. B. Lovely about this yesterday, the person that has really been central in my life lately in the last couple of weeks came out of a meditation that I'm taking a class. It's actually called Mystery School by Elijah Christopher Hayden. And we did a meditation to connect with a figure of freedom. And the person that came up for me was Bayard Rustin. And so many people that I know that I talked to about this didn't know who Bayard Rustin is. And there's a movie about him. As we're talking about movies, my favorite kind of spiritual practice is watching something, being entertained and inspired at the same time. And Rustin is played by Coleman Domingo. It's played streaming on Netflix. It's a really great explanation kind of how this gay man was really relegated to just obscurity in the civil rights movement, because being gay in the 60s was incredibly controversial, and he was openly gay. So the fact that he was the one who identified that the nonviolent movement was the way to go about leading the civil rights movement, that was him. He went to India, he learned from Gandhi, and he's the one who taught Martin Luther King Jr. the ways of nonviolence. He's the one who organized the March on Washington. He pulled Martin Luther King Jr. in after the fact. He's the one who put that together. That event happened because of him. And it is wild that we still live in a time where LGBT people are being erased for their efforts. And so my intention for It's Giving Reverence is to highlight these unsung, unrepresented figures that have been doing good things in our country, in the world, that don't get their due, that don't get their flowers. So this Bayard Rustin, we are giving you your flowers.
Yes, we are giving him his flowers. That film did really good during the awards circuit too. It was nominated for like Academy Awards, Golden Globes, SAG-AFTRAs, BAFTAs.
Yeah, Coleman Domingo is incredible. And it's, again, same with him. Like when I was at Juvie, we were constantly trying to figure out ways that we can work with him. Viola is a huge fan of his.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just saw his recently before the Oscars. His one-on-one, was it Actors on Actors that the Hollywood Reporter does. He was with Kieran Culkin, and the way how he approaches acting was really interesting, because in an interview, Kieran would say, "Oh, I just wake up a few minutes before, I need to leave the house. I just run out, hurry up, rush to set. I'm always in chaos." And Coleman was like, "Well, I like to, take my time. I want to have a cup of tea, sit down, take a shower, and sip tea." And you can see that in his work, because like the way how he comes out in his characters, one that really sticks out to me is him in Euphoria. Have you seen that on HBO with Zendaya?
I absolutely have, but I haven't gotten as far. I heard that his role expands. Euphoria is one of those shows that I need to be in the mindset for, and I haven't been for some time, but I'm there. So I'm getting ready to revisit real soon.
You have plenty of time, because it's been a very long time for them to come out with season 3. And one of the actors, Angus Cloud, he had recently died from a overdose. Rest in peace to him. But in that show, Coleman Domingo, his role, it does expand, and you could just see how passionate he is, how he can bring the character to life. I'm not going to give all the details because you have to find out through the storyline and stuff, but definitely love him as an actor. And after we just gave reference, now we're going to take a minute to get into a little bit of the mess that has been happening in the world, but we're going to put a twist on it. I call this segment the Do Better Blues. Okay, I'm not frozen. In Do Better Blues, I'm going to take a moment to talk about something that I see each week. If there's something really messy that I see each week that I think that people need to work on, I'm going to call it out. This week, one of my favorite morning shows I like to start my morning with is The Breakfast Club. It is a hip hop radio station in New York City, nationally syndicated on iHeartRadio. There is a young journalist by the name of Lauren LaRosa. I follow her on social media. She is a phenomenal journalist. She had worked with TMZ for a few years, and now she is a senior producer for this morning show. And the comedian, Jess Hilarious, she is the third host of the Breakfast Club. Jess Hilarious went on live, I think it was Tuesday, airing out some workplace grievances that was happening. But all of this had started because people who watched the show was putting negative comments, like on the YouTube page, on the Instagram. And she had said like the comments had been getting to her, and she wanted to clear the air. And it got to the point where all of that had spilled over on air, and all of the colleagues had to have an on air powwow, talking about, the issues that was going on at hand. But all of this stemmed because people was putting mean, negative comments in the comment section saying that this other woman on the show, Lauren LaRosa, was better than Jess, and that Jess needs to quit and get fired and stuff. And seeing that every day, I can understand why she felt the need to come online and to defend herself and call it out and say that she didn't feel like she was being protected. Because if you're going to work every day and you have people trash talking you about your work, it's going to bother you. And I just want us to all take a moment to think about, what do I add to the world by putting negativity into it? How does my day improve? How does my life get better by tearing somebody else down or making someone else feel bad about themselves? What do you think about that?
I think that is an incredible question to ask. As you were sharing this story about women being torn down in media, what was coming to mind was Megan Thee Stallion, how Megan Thee Stallion got shot. And, this woman was, she was shot and was torn apart on social media with, did she sleep with, what difference does it make if she slept with the man that shot her? She got shot. She was minding her business, living her best life, and deserved to be shot. And at the end of the day, still in 2025, we're having this conversation where women are really being attacked. And, you think about our latest election, where the conversation around the election wasn't who is the right person for this job. It was a lot of conversation about identity. And I feel like we're living in an era, in a time where just as I identified with Bayard Rustin, that we're really confronting this country's history around marginalizing people of certain identities, and it's coming to the forefront. Like the days that we are living in today, as the information about the code talkers, the Native people who contributed to winning these wars, are being stripped from the whitehouse.gov website, that we're in this experience where the challenges around identity and our division around identity is really coming to the forefront. And I love that this story about the Breakfast Club really demonstrates how this is how one woman is responding to it. And I really resonate with your question of asking us individually, how do I want to show up in the world? Do I want to be somebody that's tearing down others who I disagree with? Or do I want to spend my time, my energy lifting others up, highlighting people like Bayard Rustin, and watching a series like What's Up and Why to demonstrate and to lean towards the brighter side of life, one fun moment at a time?
Earlier today, I was thinking to myself, because I had went to the bathroom at work and it was kind of messy in there. And I was about to leave, and I just thought to myself, you know what? I want to leave every room that I enter better than how I found it. And so, it was a small bathroom, so I didn't have to do too much. But I was like, even though I didn't leave this mess, I'm going to clean it up a little bit, because the way how I want to move through life, I want to leave each room that I enter better. When I have interactions with people, I want people to feel better after we've had an interaction. I don't want them to feel worse. And so that's why I asked that question. Before you do something, ask yourself, what is this going to add? Is this going to help me, or is it going to hurt me? Is this going to help somebody, or is it going to hurt me? If it's going to hurt them, why do I want that person to hurt? And I feel like the world would be better if we asked these questions, where you really had to stop and think. Because when I was a child and my brother and I would get in trouble, my father, the way how he would discipline us, he would sit us down, look us in the eye, and say, explain to me why you thought that was a good idea. And as a child, when you really had to stop and think, like, okay, why did I think that was a good idea? You realize that I need to move better than that.
I love that. I love knowing that that's what your father did. It's such a great question. Instead of responding to somebody with an attack, an accusation, a criticism, to invite an opportunity to really sit in the question, why did I think that was a good idea. And then to have to communicate it to the person that is obviously sitting me down asking me that question for a reason. I love that your father asked that question. So speaking of questions, I have developed a program called, it's a 90-day program called Making Peace with Your Inner Shit Talker. And there's a reflection question that, and each day that the person moving through the program is invited to reflect on, to journal on, to just take some time with. There's an affirmation of the day, there's a song of the day for the kind of people that maybe don't want to reflect on this for a minute, or maybe you just want to sing about it, dance about it. And the very first question in the program is how do you identify the difference between your inner shit talker and your inner wisdom? And I feel like, Ms. B. Lovely, you brought this up as you talked to the story about being in the bathroom, is your inner shit talker was like, who, why, had thoughts about the experience. And then your inner wisdom said, instead of operating from a place of talking mess about the mess, take a moment to identify what is yours to do and do that, to identify the brighter side of this experience. And whoever it was that messed up the bathroom, or all these other people that contributed to that bathroom being messy, this is what that experience of trusting your inner wisdom really looks like. And really, for me, recognizing that all of life is spiritual, because these people who messed up the bathroom had no way, I don't even know who they are, no way of knowing that their experience of showing up authentically in the world created an opportunity for us to have this conversation in a very public way around identifying what is yours to do, identifying this experience of when something is messy, what may be mine to do sometimes. Good for you, Be Lovely, because you're not about to catch me cleaning a bathroom, especially at work. That is not my job description.
It was just picking up a few pieces of, paper towels and toilet paper. It wasn't like, I had a mop or anything.
I mean, I assumed that, but still, props to you. I am one of those people that just minds my business. It is not my job to clean up this bathroom, and I don't do it. When it is my job, I do it.
I have a thought. My thought process has always been, we are put on this earth. We all have different talents, different passions, different things that we're good at. And I think that if we all work together, come together as community, help each other out, there would be more peace. If we all work together instead of saying, oh, that wasn't me, that's not my problem. No, we are living on this planet together. What another person does on this planet will, in a way, affect you. That's always been my thought process.
It's so true. And I mentioned the code talkers from the wars. I think it was World War II, but that concept of leaving the world a better place that you found it is a true indigenous practice and principle. And, as I kind of talked about before, we're in this era where we're really confronting how having a marginalized identity makes it so that people are trash talked regardless of, you're just showing up and doing your job, or you get shot and are being treated as somebody that is worthy of attack. That one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately is how the indigenous practices and principles, how the United States would be a place where community and as you said, the world would be a much better place if we lived from these principles that the powers that be, that our founding fathers didn't find value in, and made every effort to silence, to make an effort to assimilate. I've been reading a lot about how the Indian boarding schools were unsuccessful in their efforts to try and assimilate and force Native people into the practices of colonialism that didn't resonate, because they weren't about leaving the world a better place than you found it. I've also been watching the show 1923. The second season of 1923 is out on Paramount Plus, and it really highlights that. It leans into how the spiritual leaders of that time, the people who ran the boarding schools, were the people who imposed these really brutal ways of being that these Indian boarding schools run by religious people are filled with cemeteries of the bodies of the children that they abused in the process of making these efforts of assimilating Native people into mainstream colonialized American culture. And so the more I learn about it, the more it doesn't feel like the brighter side of life. But I can take these lessons and these wisdom of, okay, these are the things that happened. What I can do is find inspiration in leaving the world a better place than I find it, and finding inspiration
Yes.
from my cousin telling me to clean up the bathroom when I'm somewhere and it's dirty.
Yes, I'm living the world better than how you found it. I practice that with my these little babies, my nephews, Gigi's kids. Whenever I talk to them, I always say, like, you're a king, you're the greatest to ever do it. You're gonna be amazing. I like to just speak positive affirmations because I know the power of speaking positivity over yourself can really change the trajectory of your life. Are you still there, Casey?
I am. I don't know why I was spinning and what happened. I
Okay.
was watching my little black box in the spin.
Oh, were you able to hear what I said?
I was, yes.
Okay.
I love that
Yeah,
you do
but
that for Gigi's kids.
yeah.
I love that they have you in their ear, reminding them that they are the kings they are.
Yes, affirmations are so important. Felicia Rashad was talking about this in her interview today because they had asked her, you and your sister, Debbie Allen, the world-renowned dancer, she created A Different World, helped with the Cosby Show. How is it that you are two, women who've been through all these different eras in Hollywood and you still hold yourself, they're a type of woman when they walk in a room, they command respect. And Felicia said, well, basically from a child, her mother had sowed positive seeds into her and her sister by speaking words of affirmations over them. Like her mother told them, you are fearless. Will always tell them, like, you can do anything that you want, speaking all those affirmations. And she said her mother was planting the seeds, even though the kids didn't understand it, but the seeds were there. And it took somebody else coming and watering it, through life. The parents plant the seed. And as the kid goes out into the world, you come across, the right people who will water that seed and then it will grow.
Mm.
So that's how I think, that's how we give back to leave the world better than how we found it. We plant those positive seeds into the people that we come across, into, the children in our lives, next generation, speak positivity over those people.
It is so funny that you're saying all this. The theme, the Centers for Spiritual Living theme this week is planting my intentions. And you didn't know that. That's what I spoke about this last Sunday. That is so fun. That's the weekly theme.
Hi, Patty.
Hey, Patty. I'm glad the algorithm brought you to us as well. We are in this is coming to the end of our very first Maiden Voyage episode of What's Up and Why. We usually pray in. This is the first time we didn't. I guess we were distracted by trying to be ready. But I would love for us to pray out. And usually the way that we do these is I pray out. But be lovely. I wonder if you'd be willing to start us in prayer and then I close us in prayer.
You know me, because when I thought she was going to suggest me, I was going to say, can I start and then you finish? My cousin knows me. Okay. So wherever you are, I ask that you just take a deep breath and find your center. As we come to a close of this show, I just want to speak positivity, love, and prosperity over everyone who is watching this program. And know that, yes, sometimes there will be hardship in life, but just know that the storm will never stay there. We will always get through the storm. There will always be light and sunshine on the other end.
The sun will come out tomorrow. I am here for this concept. I'm grateful to be able to pray with my cousin in this experience of our maiden voyage of What's Up and Why, knowing that having heard this intention, knowing that Spirit has brought us together to invite people to see the brighter side of life, to plant their intentions, to speak words of affirmation over ourselves and our loved ones, to leave the world a better place than we found it. That is what's happening right here, that the two of us are doing the best that we can to leave the world a better place that we found it. I'm grateful that we have been divinely appointed as family members to do this. I am grateful that we have come together for this show, and I'm grateful for all of the ways that the world is a better place because we have said yes to this divine appointment. I'm grateful for the audience and the shift that takes place in the world, and I invite us to close this prayer with whatever word or phrase resonates most for you. I choose to close by saying, and so it is.
Amen. Well, this has been our first of many episodes of What's Up and Why. Thank you for joining us. I am Miss B. Lovely.
And I am Reverend Casey Taylor. Here's your reminder to have the best day ever and ask the question, what's up and why?